this lesson, we're going to be talking about helper functions a little bit. In the description of this video below, you can see some of the research I had going on over here. In the description of the video below here, there will be the previous videos where I talked about functions before. Here we're talking about custom helper functions, and specifically where I use function calls inside of other bigger functions. On the right here, you can see I have a little drawing of a cat. Took me a little longer than I would really like to admit to create it. And the idea here is, okay, I made a cat. Let's say I wanted to make a scene that's going to include multiple different cats throughout the scene over here. Well, I guess I could copy all of this and then figure out how I'm going to change all the coordinates for the tail, all the coordinates for the body, all the coordinates for the head. And let's say I want to make a third cat. I have to do that a third time. So that's like no good. I don't like doing that. So what we're going to do instead is we're going to organize these different parts into functions and then make one bigger function that will just draw the entire cat, and it will just say, hey, give me an X and a Y and I'll draw your cat at that location, and maybe give me two colors because I kind of got like a two-color scheme cat over here. The nose and the eyes, they're just going to stay the same color. So no pink cats, no green cats, I guess. So first, let's make our tail function. So I can even leave the tail comment over there and just make, cat tail. And this is going to take a tail X, a tail Y, and a color 1 and a color 2. So the idea is, for functions, again, just brief way how it works. You say I'm defining a function. Here's the name of my function, cat tail. And then in the parentheses here are inputs that this function expects that I can use for doing some work with. So great, we have the structure of it looking good, but we'll have to do a little bit more work in a minute. Let's do the structure for all of them. So the body, we're gonna make a definition, cat body, and this will have a body X, a body Y, camel case is fine, and then again a color 1 and a color 2. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah, we'll talk about local variables later. Def cat head, a head X, a head Y, color 1, color 2, color 2. And then indent all of these guys. And let's make one final big function that's going to call all of these smaller functions. So we'll just say def draw cat. And it's going to ask for an X coordinate, a Y coordinate, a color 1, and a color 2. Oh my goodness. And all I'm going to do in this DrawCat function is I'm actually just going to call my cat tail, my cat body, and my cat head function. So I'm going to say, maybe I should have called these all DrawCat tail, but whatever. And what do I want first? The only thing that needs to matter is the tail should be behind, then the body, then the head. So I should call the tail, then the body, then the head. So we'll do cat tail. And then, all right, let's talk about this right now. X, Y, color 1, color 2. So there will be a future video where we will talk more about global variables versus local variables. But here's what's going on here. Let me finish putting these out, and then we'll be able to talk about it. Okay, so what we've got over here is, first of all, now that I did that, I run the program, nothing's happening, right? Because all I've done so far is just created functions. Draw a cat. I just created 4 different functions that will draw a cat tail, draw a cat body, draw a cat head, and this one says to draw a cat. When I call a function, I need to send all the information that that function needs to work. So when I define this function, I say, hey, this function, by the way, needs an X, needs a Y, needs one color, and needs another color to be able to work. And inside of this function, I'm going to call the 3 little helper functions that are each going to draw the different parts, and each of those are looking for their own X, their own Y, and their own sets of colors. Now in the DrawCat function, we were given an x and a y and a color 1 and color 2. So when I call cat tail, cat body, and cat head, I'm just going to send the x and y coordinates that I already got. I'm just going to send the x and y coordinates that I already was given. And maybe I'll change that as we start implementing and actually getting the numbers to be right. But all I'm just saying is like, hey, look, you're asking for an x, a y, a color 1, and a color 2. I have an x, a y, a color 1, and a color 2. So I'm going to send you my x coordinate. I'm going to send you my y coordinate. I'm going to send you my color 1, and I'm going to send you my color 2. I guess there's not really any getting around it. So just brief little thing. When I define these variables at the top of any of these functions, that's making a version of this variable that exists only inside of the function itself. So the variable x, y, fully spelt out color 1 and fully spelt out color 2, these variables only exist inside of these lines. On line 25, I make a function call to cat tail, and I send it whatever values are inside of x and y and color 1 and color 2. When I do that function call, I jump up to the cat tail function, and now the variable tail x has been created. It exists in here, and it's going to hold on to tail x is going to hold on to whatever it was sent. Well, it was sent the value x from our DrawCat function. What is the value x? Well, we have to call it for it to have a value. So maybe we'll draw our cat at 200, 200, and I've been dealing with chocolate and sienna, so we will send it a chocolate color and a sienna color. Okay, now when I run this function, we draw this cat. It might seem like, hey, everything's good, we're done. We're not done. Sorry, didn't you learn my videos are longer than this? Problem is right now, the variables that I'm sending, yeah, I send DrawCat a 200 and x. DrawCat 200 is now being stored in the variable x. I send that 200 that x is holding on to over to cat tail. Cat tail is like, all right, you sent me 200. I'm going to store that value 200 in tail x, and then we don't use it, which is a problem, right? Because let's say, hey, you know, draw a cat in the center of the screen. Great, it did. It drew a cat in the center of the screen. What if I wanted to draw a cat maybe towards the bottom of the screen? Maybe I wanted to draw a cat at, let's say like the left side of the screen, so I'll go to 100, and the bottom of the screen, let's say 400. The problem is, when I run this, it just draws that one cat. Let's say that I want to draw another cat maybe, and I want to put that one back at the center. 200, 200, and this one maybe I'll make it a black cat with kind of gray as its secondary color. Problem with that, we only get one cat because none of my helper functions are using the information that I took in. So here now we need to like actually make it work. Now let's go back to this base DrawCat at 200, 200. That'll be, I mean, if you look at my cat over here, 200, 200 is the center of my cat. So let's base all of our numbers off of assuming we sent it a cat input of 200, 200. So when I initially drew it, 200 was my center. My x went to 150. Well, to get from 200 to 150, I could just do minus 50. So the x that I'm assuming I'm getting is 200. And this is, by the way, like how you're going to have to do this sort of thing if you're doing helper functions with this kind of groups of objects, is think about, all right, you're going to give me some central one, because when the user is giving me a function call, you just want the user to be like, hey, I just want to give you one coordinate and draw the whole cat for me, right? I don't want to think about where the cat's tail should be or even the different parts of the cat's tail. That's what we have to figure out as the programmers. So they're going to pass you an x and a y, and every single other part of your cat, we're going to have to make relative to that x and y. So they're sending me 200 and 200, I know, as my base case. Then I know, all right, to go from 200 to 150, I should be doing minus 50. So I'll say, okay, you're passing me 200. I'll do tail x, which I'm assuming is 200, and minus 50. Let's do the same thing with the y. We're assuming 200. 200 to 160 would be the tail y minus 40. And let's just check. Nothing broke, right? I'm just doing a cat at 200 right now. So every time I do one piece, making it relative, it's still at 150, 160 there. Let's keep going. This part's at 200. I'm assuming my base input is 200, so I'm just going to say, all right, tail x, leave it like that. 250, that's going to end up becoming my tail y plus 50, because I was 250, 200 plus 50 will get me over there. Let's keep going. This will be another minus 50, tail y minus 50. Oops, this should be tail x minus 50, and this is a tail y minus 10, because 200 take away 10 makes me the 190. Tail y minus 10. Let's make sure I didn't mess up that part of the cat thing. All right, it's looking okay. And so, by the way, here's the reason that we're doing this. Let me try to make now a new cat. Let's draw this cat instead of a 200, 200. Let's do that other one we were doing before. 100, 400. And we'll make this the chocolate cat, though we're also not reacting to, you know, if it's the colors either. We'll make this a chocolate and sienna cat. Bada boom. Notice, look over here. We've got parts of our tail being written relative to 100 and 140, which is right over here, right? The center of my cat now, if you look at the XY, 100, sorry, not 100, 140, 100, 400. And these tail parts are relative to that 100, 400. It went 50 to the left and 10 up for this part of the tail. That's what we're doing. They can type in any value they want for moving the cat, and we have to make sure that all the parts are relative to that input that we're expecting. So they're going to pass me a 200, 200. Well, that's going to go into XY. That XY is then going to get passed, the 200, 200, to the cat tail's first two values, which are tail x, tail y. That's why I'm converting all these from what it was to where it is relative to the 200. And I'm just using 200 as a base case, right? Just because that's where all of my original numbers for drawing this cat were based off of. I started at 200. This tail's, you know, a little bit to the left. The head is a little bit above it. What is that? The belly is a little bit below the 200. So let's keep going. Hopefully that makes sense. Just leave a comment if that's still confusing. I can try to explain it better. I'm taking too much time. So let's go. I'm going to start rapid pacing through this. So this is a tail x minus 50, tail y minus 10, tail x minus 50, tail y minus 40. Check to see if everything's good. Great. And then tail x minus 50, tail y minus 10. So let's just copy what we have from up there. Bada boom. Look at this. Our cat over here is good. And look, our cat that's on the side down over here, the whole tail has been replaced to the right spot. Let's keep going. Let's make the body work as well. Center of the body is a 200, 200, so we can just use the body x and the body y. Everything is relative to that 200, 200. This will be minus 30 to get to 170. Body x minus 30. And we can just do a regular old body y there. The rectangle, what have I done? The rectangle, we're not changing the size of this cat. That would be too much. Oval, body x, body y plus 30. Let's check to see the body of this cat working. All right, there's the body of our cat. I guess being at 400, you just can't quite see the oval. Yeah, okay, that's fine. And let's do the cat head. Last part over here, for at least the location. So now we're gonna do a head x, head y minus 45, another head x, head y minus 35. Let's just make sure that it's looking okay. Alrighty, very nice, very nice. Head x minus, oh, what was that? Minus 10. Head x minus 10. head y minus 55. What have I done? What's going on here? Don't. What are you doing? Okay. Looking good. We got that one eyeball. Let's get the other eyeball in here. That's actually just going to be switching this to a plus 10, I believe. Switch this to a plus 10. Let's see. Eyeball number 2 looking good, and then we just need the ears and the colors, and we're good to go. Head x minus 20. Head y minus 70. Head x, well, whatever, we'll just type it out. I realize it's the same sort of thing. Head y minus 70. Let's do it. Boom, there's the ears. There is our cat. And now that we've made our helper functions all use input, right? This is Unit 2 stuff, to be perfectly honest. The only real new thing is saying, hey, like the thing I should be talking about in this video, maybe that's the next video, is what is going on when I define input, where do these variables exist? I get it, okay, I'm sending values to the variables over here. What's happening over here when I send variables to other functions? That's what this should really be about. Maybe that's what the next video will be about. But so just notice, like, our cat can be drawn anywhere now. Draw cat at 300, I don't know, 100. And we'll try to make this a, I don't know, let's try a purple and pink cat. Bada boom. All right, so the cat's being drawn in all the right spots. Now we just need the colors to work out. Ooh, pink cats won't work because we got a pink nose. Let's do a purple and would take magenta. I mean, we'll find out if magenta's a color or not that this allows. Okay, so the issue now is that everywhere that we fill the color of the cat, we're just saying every single time we're making it chocolate and sienna, and we want to be reacting to the input that the user is sending us. We know when cattail is called, whatever color it should be using is going to be stored as C1 or potentially C2. So we know there's 2 different colors. I think, let's see, this chocolate's the darker color, right? Oh no, sienna's the darker color, chocolate's the lighter color. So looks like, how did I send this? C1 is my darker color. So we're going to switch this. Instead of typing out chocolate, I'm going to say C1. And so here, this will now, instead of sienna, it'll be C2. Did I just mess it up? No. Yeah, it's good. Except I think I messed up. I said my darker color was C1. My darker color is C2. 2. All right, now look at this. I fixed the tail part, and look, my cat on the bottom here at 100, 400, chocolate and sienna. That tail is the chocolate and sienna tail. The cat at 200, 200, I made it a black and gray cat. Well, the tail is black and gray. And similarly, a purple and magenta cat, it looks like magenta worked. We got a purple and magenta looking cat over there. So let's just fix the rest of these colors. So it was, I think sienna was C2. 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 C1. Chocolate was C1. Oh, there's no sienna in here. Look at this. Looks like this only needs 1 color. It never is using C2, but whatever. Well, actually, yeah, I mean, if we're not using C2, get out of here. And that means when we call cat head, we don't need a color too. Alrighty, let's see. Oh, beautiful. We got our 3 different color cats for the different calls. And so this way, right, we did all this work now, but it's so easy to draw a new cat. I can draw as many new cats as I want. And it's just as easy as being like, hey, look, to make draw cat, here's my function. I need an x coordinate, a y coordinate, and 2 colors, and I'll draw a cat for you. And now, every time I have to draw a cat, the work is so easy. I can draw a cat at, 50 and maybe 300. And let's make this it can't be green. Well, what color is this? C1? So I can make it like a, I don't know, maybe a blue and green cat, kind of like a mercat, a mermaid cat. Bada boom, there's my green and blue cat, mermaid cat. It looks like maybe this cat is like like Kermit, and that other cat he's using as a puppet. This kind of looks kind of like a hand. Anyways, that's the idea. This really, as I went through the rest of this video, it just seemed like a really complex, like actually Unit 2 video, where it's just like, hey, functions take input and then they use input. So we're definitely going to continue with another video after this, talking about, I guess, locality, global versus local variables in functions. I mean, I guess the new thing here is that when I call the DrawCat function, this DrawCat function says, hey, look, I want an X and a Y, a color and a color, and then I'm going to draw your cat tail by sending it the X and Y that you gave me and sending it the 2 colors that you gave me. I'm going to draw a cat body by sending it the X and the Y you gave me and the 2 colors you gave me. I'm going to draw a cat head by sending the cat head function the XY you sent me and the color you sent me. And all these other functions, they're like, hey, you're going to send me an X and a Y and 2 colors, and I will draw a cat tail relative to that XY. You're going to send me an X and a Y and 2 colors. I'll draw a cat body relative to that X and that Y that you sent me. You want me to draw a head? I'll draw a head for you. No big deal. You're going to send me an X and a Y. I only need 1 color because cat heads only have 1 color, at least the cat we're drawing. And I'll draw the head for you. I'll do all the work to draw that head relative to the kind of central XY point that I gave you. Notice one thing that I do want to point out here is these cats, they are just drawings. There are no variables linking these circles or lines or rectangles or ovals. I cannot manipulate these. I can't grab onto these cats and move the different parts. That might even be outside of the scope of this course, if I'm being perfectly honest. I don't think, like, yeah, we use global variables and we can manipulate them. I don't think we ever get to defining our own objects in this course. But that's just more reason to, want to learn a little bit more computer science, kind of keep moving. Anyways, these cats are waving goodbye to me, or maybe that's their tail. Who knows? I'm so sorry for how long this video is. I hope you got something out of it. I hope maybe if you were confused, you never really quite got functions from Unit 2. Me posting it again in Unit 5 and you going through this entire super long video, you'd be like, oh, okay, this is how functions work. All right, until next time.